Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're counting down the top 4 rare United States Roosevelt dimes that could be worth far more than their 10-cent face value. Some of these coins are ordinary looking and circulated, while others can become extremely valuable because of 90% silver content, rare mint errors, important varieties, and full bands. The famous 1975 no-S proof Roosevelt dime has even reached an incredible $506,250 at auction, showing just how valuable a tiny 10-cent coin can become when true rarity is involved. So before you spend that old Roosevelt dime, check the date, mint mark, condition, and reverse bands carefully. You might be holding a hidden treasure. Now, let's begin with coin number 1, the 1990 D Roosevelt dime. Struck at the Denver Mint and identified by the D Mint mark, found in extra fine condition. At first glance, this 10-cent coin may appear to be an ordinary circulated dime with light wear, gray toning, scratches, and contact marks. However, experienced collectors know that the 1990 D becomes much more interesting when it survives in exceptional condition or displays the highly desirable full bands characteristics. The 1990 D Roosevelt dime was produced at the Denver Mint with a mintage of approximately 839,995,824 coins. It features the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, while the reverse displays the torch, olive branch, and oak branch. The coin is made of copper nickel-clad metal, weighs approximately 2.27 grams, and measures about 17.90 millimeters in diameter. PCGS.com, https://www.pcgs.com/coinfax/coin/1990D 10C/50-179/66. Utah_source equals Chak.com. A 1990 D Roosevelt dime in extra fine condition normally retains strong detail while showing moderate circulation wear. Roosevelt's hair, cheek, and facial features remain clearly visible, although the highest points show some smoothing. On the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch remain recognizable, while the date, lettering, rim, and D mint mark are easy to read. The important point is that an extra fine 1990 D should not automatically be described as a rare or high-dollar coin. PCGS describes the regular 1990 D as fairly common in circulated grades, with scarcity becoming much more significant in very high mint state grades. PCGS also notes that examples with full bands characteristics are difficult to find and can command strong premiums. PCGS.com, https://www.pcgs.com/coinfax/coin/1990D 10C/50-179/66. Utah_source equals Chak.com. The full bands designation refers to the horizontal bands crossing the torch on the reverse. On qualifying high-grade coins, fully separated bands can make a major difference in collector value. PCGS's full bands pricing data illustrates how dramatically the designation can increase value compared with a normal Roosevelt dime. PCGS.com, https://www.pcgs.com/news/full bands Roosevelt dimes. UTM_source equals Chak.com. The auction market shows this difference clearly. PCGS records an auction result of $470 for a 1990 D graded MS69, while its regular MS68 auction record is also far above the value of an ordinary circulated specimen. PCGS.com, https://www.pcgs.com/coinfax/coin/1990D 10C/50-179/66. Utah_source equals Chak.com. For an extra fine 1990 D, however, the realistic market value is generally modest and depends on condition, originality, and collector demand. The major auction prices belong to exceptionally preserved certified examples, not normal circulated coins. If you own a 1990 D Roosevelt dime, inspect it carefully under bright lighting with a magnifying glass. Pay close attention to the D mint mark, date, Roosevelt's portrait, lettering, torch, olive branch, oak branch, and horizontal bands on the reverse. Look for genuine doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck through errors, or other characteristics that appear to have been created during the minting process. It is also important to distinguish mint errors from post-mint damage. Scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, polishing, and environmental damage generally occurred after the coin left the mint and normally reduce its collector value. Never clean or polish your 1990D Roosevelt dime. Original surfaces are important to collectors, and cleaning can permanently damage the coin. If you discover an unusual variety or believe the dime has exceptional strike quality, preserve it exactly as you found it and consider professional authentication and grading. The 1990D Roosevelt dime in extra fine condition is a great first coin for today's countdown because it demonstrates an important lesson. A common date can still become interesting when condition, strike quality, full bands, and genuine mint errors come together. Most circulated examples remain affordable, but exceptional certified specimens can command hundreds of dollars or more at auction. PCGS.com https://www.pcgs.com/coin/1990D10C/50-179/66 Utah_source=check.com. So, if you find a 1990D Roosevelt dime, don't spend it automatically. Check the mint mark, examine the condition, study the reverse bands, and look for genuine mint-made errors. That ordinary-looking 10-cent coin may deserve a much closer look. Now let's move on to coin number 2 in today's countdown, the 1993D Roosevelt dime, struck at the Denver Mint and identified by the D mint mark, found in very good condition. At first glance, this 10-cent coin may appear to be an ordinary circulated dime with noticeable wear, gray toning, scratches, rim marks, and softened details. However, the 1993D is an interesting date for collectors because its circulation strikes were not especially well struck, making high-grade examples with strong full bands surprisingly difficult to locate. PCGS notes that MS66 and higher full bands examples are particularly challenging to find. The 1993D Roosevelt dime had a mintage of approximately 750,110,166 coins. It features the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, while the reverse displays the traditional torch, olive branch, and oak branch. The coin is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper center, weighs approximately 2.27 grams, and measures 17.90 millimeters in diameter. The D mint mark identifies it as a Denver Mint issue. A 1993D Roosevelt dime in very good condition shows substantial circulation wear. Roosevelt's hair, cheek, and facial details may appear noticeably smooth, while the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse show flattened high points. The date, lettering, rim, and D mint mark should remain readable. Gray toning, scratches, contact marks, and rim wear are common on a coin that has spent many years in circulation. It is important to understand that a very good 1993D is not normally a high-dollar coin. PCGS auction records include an AU55 example that sold for only $9, illustrating how modest the value can be for circulated specimens. A current market reference also places an ungraded 1993D around the low dollar range. The exciting part of the 1993D story comes when the coin reaches exceptional mint state condition. PCGS specifically notes that the 1993D was not struck as well as some other 1990s Roosevelt dimes, making MS66 full bands and higher examples very difficult to locate. The auction market demonstrates this dramatic difference. PCGS records an auction result of $700 for a 1993D full bands example graded MS66, showing how much stronger the market can become when exceptional grade and full bands combine. For your very good 1993D, however, the realistic value remains modest. The coin's value is primarily determined by its condition, originality, and collector demand rather than simply the presence of the D mint mark. The spectacular auction prices belong to exceptional certified specimens, not ordinary circulated examples. Collectors should also examine the 1993D for genuine mint-made errors such as doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, clip planchets, struck-through errors, and other unusual production characteristics. A genuine mint error can be considerably scarcer than a normal 1993D and may increase the value substantially. If you own a 1993D Roosevelt dime, inspect it carefully under bright lighting with a magnifying glass. Pay close attention to the D mint mark, date, Roosevelt's portrait, lettering, torch, olive branch, oak branch, and horizontal bands on the reverse. Remember that full bands is associated with qualifying high-grade coins. A circulated very good dime should not automatically be called full bands simply because some lines remain visible. Also learn to distinguish post-mint damage from genuine mint errors. Scratches, dents, corrosion, stains, polishing, and environmental damage normally happened after the coin left the mint and generally reduce collector value. A genuine mint error must have originated during production. Never clean or polish your 1993D Roosevelt dime. Original surfaces are important to collectors, and cleaning can permanently damage the coin. If you believe you have discovered a major mint error or an unusually well-preserved specimen, preserve it exactly as you found it and consider professional authentication and grading. The 1993D Roosevelt dime in very good condition demonstrates an important lesson for coin hunters. The date and mint mark alone do not guarantee a fortune. Most circulated examples remain modestly valued, while the finest full-band specimens can command dramatically higher prices. That difference is exactly why collectors continue examining ordinary Roosevelt dimes for the rare combination of exceptional strike, condition, variety, and authentication. Now let's continue with coin number 3 in today's countdown, the 1996P Roosevelt dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and identified by the P mint mark, found in worn condition. At first glance, this dime may appear to be an ordinary 10-cent coin with scratches, gray toning, contact marks, and circulation wear. However, the 1996P is an excellent example of how a very common coin can become much more interesting when it survives in exceptional condition or displays the highly desirable full bands designation. The 1996P Roosevelt dime had a huge mintage of approximately 1,421,163,000 coins, making ordinary circulated examples very common. The coin features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, while the reverse displays the torch, olive branch, and oak branch. It is a copper nickel-clad coin, weighing approximately 2.27 grams, and measuring 17.90 millimeters in diameter. The Philadelphia issue carries the P mint mark. A 1996 P Roosevelt dime in worn condition normally shows noticeable circulation wear. Roosevelt's hair, cheek, and facial features may appear smooth, while the torch and branches on the reverse show flattened high points. Scratches, contact marks, gray toning, rim wear, and other signs of circulation are common. A worn 1996P should not automatically be considered a rare or high-value coin simply because it carries a P mint mark. The real collector opportunity comes from exceptional strike quality and full bands. PCGS notes that the 1996P is extremely common in circulation but becomes scarce in MS67 full bands and higher grades. At MS68 full bands, only a small number of examples have been certified, making these coins much more desirable to advanced Roosevelt dime collectors. The auction market demonstrates this dramatic difference. PCGS records an auction result of $1,385 for a 1996P Roosevelt dime, graded MS68 full bands. This is an exceptional certified specimen and should not be confused with the value of an ordinary worn circulated coin. Current market references also show that normal 1996P Roosevelt dimes remain inexpensive in ordinary grades, while full bands examples command substantial premiums. Graysheet currently lists a broad value range of roughly $9 to $250 for 1996 PMS full bands coins, depending on grade and market conditions. Collectors should carefully inspect the horizontal bands across the torch on the reverse. Complete separation of the bands can be highly desirable when the coin qualifies for the appropriate mint state full bands designation. However, A worn circulated coin with visible lines should not automatically be called full bands. The 1996p can also become valuable if it has a genuine mint error. Collectors search for doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck through errors, and other unusual mint-made characteristics. A genuine error can be considerably scarcer than the more than 1.4 billion normal examples produced. If you own a 1996p Roosevelt dime, inspect it carefully under bright lighting with a magnifying glass. Examine the P mint mark, date, Roosevelt's portrait, lettering, torch, olive branch, oak branch, and horizontal bands on the reverse. Pay particular attention to anything that appears to have been created during the minting process rather than scratches or damage that happen later. It is important to distinguish post-mint damage from genuine mint errors. Scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, polishing, and environmental damage generally reduce the value of an ordinary coin. Never clean or polish the dime, because cleaning can permanently damage the original surfaces and reduce its collector appeal. For a normal 1996p Roosevelt dime in worn condition, the realistic value is generally modest and close to its face value unless the coin has an unusual error or variety. The spectacular $1,385 auction result belongs to an MS-68 full bands example, showing how dramatically condition and strike quality can change the value of the same date. The 1996p Roosevelt dime proves that rarity is not always about how many coins were originally produced. More than 1.4 billion were struck, yet superb full bands examples can still be difficult to find. That difference between an ordinary circulated dime and an exceptional certified specimen is exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting. So, if you discover a 1996p Roosevelt dime, don't spend it automatically. Check the mint mark, examine the condition, study the reverse bands, and look carefully for genuine mint errors. You never know when an ordinary-looking 10-cent coin could turn out to be a much more interesting collector's piece. And now we arrive at the last and final coin in today's countdown, the 1997p Roosevelt dime, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and identified by the P mint mark, found in circulated condition. At first glance, this 10-cent coin may appear to be an ordinary circulated dime with gray toning, scratches, contact marks, rim wear, and years of everyday use. However, experienced collectors know that the 1997p Roosevelt dime becomes much more interesting when it survives in exceptional condition or displays the highly desirable full bands designation. PCGS records a mintage of approximately 991,640,000 coins, so ordinary circulated examples are common. The 1997p Roosevelt dime features the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, while the reverse displays the traditional torch, olive branch, and oak branch. The coin is made from 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper center, weighs approximately 2.27 grams, and measures about 17.90 millimeters in diameter. The P mint mark identifies the Philadelphia issue. A 1997p Roosevelt dime in circulated condition normally shows noticeable wear. Roosevelt's hair, cheek, and facial features may become smooth from years of handling, while the torch and branches on the reverse show flattened high points. The date, lettering, mint mark, and rim should remain readable. Gray toning, scratches, contact marks, and rim wear are common. Although these characteristics reduce the grade, collectors still examine circulated examples for genuine mint errors. The major collector opportunity with the 1997p comes from exceptional strike quality and full bands. PCGS notes that the regular 1997p is common through much of mint state, but MS-67 and higher coins become much harder to locate. With full bands, the coin becomes considerably scarcer. PCGS describes MS-67 full bands examples as scarce and MS-68 or higher as very difficult to find. The current PCGS population information illustrates this scarcity. Its report lists 177 certified examples for the regular 1997p, compared with 75 certified full bands examples in the reference population data. These figures represent certified coins, not the total number of coins surviving in existence. but they demonstrate how much more selective the full bands designation can be. The auction market also shows the difference between ordinary and exceptional examples. PCGS records a $1,265 auction result for a 1997 P full bands Roosevelt dime, demonstrating that a coin with exceptional grade and strike quality can bring a substantial premium. However, a normal circulated 1997 P Roosevelt dime should not be presented as a $1,000 coin simply because it has a P mint mark. Most circulated examples are common and remain relatively close to face value. The major premiums belong to coins with exceptional preservation, strong strikes, full bands, recognized varieties, or genuine mint errors. Collectors should carefully examine the reverse horizontal bands across the torch. Full bands is a designation associated with qualifying high-grade coins where the bands are completely separated and sharply defined. Simply seeing some lines on a circulated dime does not automatically make it a full bands example. The 1997 P should also be inspected for genuine mint-made errors such as doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, clip planchets, struck-through errors, and other unusual production characteristics. A genuine mint error can be dramatically scarcer than the nearly 1 billion ordinary coins produced for circulation and may command a significant premium when professionally authenticated. If you own a 1997 P Roosevelt dime, inspect it carefully under bright lighting with a magnifying glass. Examine the P mint mark, date, Roosevelt's portrait, lettering, torch, olive branch, oak branch, and horizontal bands on the reverse. Look for characteristics that appear to have been created during the minting process rather than scratches or damage that happen later. It is important to distinguish post-mint damage from genuine mint errors. Scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, polishing, and environmental damage generally reduce the value of an ordinary circulated coin. A genuine mint error must have originated during the manufacturing process. Never clean or polish your 1997 P Roosevelt dime. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surfaces and reduce the coin's collector appeal. If you believe the dime has an important mint error or an unusually strong strike, preserve it exactly as you found it and consider professional authentication and grading. The 1997 P Roosevelt dime is a fitting final coin for today's countdown because it demonstrates that rarity is not always about a low original mintage. Nearly 992 million were struck, yet superb full bands examples are much harder to find and can bring strong premiums. So, if you discover a 1997 P Roosevelt dime, don't spend it automatically. Check the mint mark, examine the condition, study the reverse bands, and look carefully for genuine mint errors. That ordinary-looking 10-cent coin could be much more interesting than it first appears. And that brings us to the end of today's countdown of the top 4 rare United States Roosevelt dimes. We explored the 1990D, 1993D, 1996P, and 1997P Roosevelt dimes, and discovered that even ordinary-looking extra fine, very good, worn, and circulated dimes can become much more interesting when exceptional condition, full bands, or genuine mint errors are involved. The biggest lesson from today's video is simple: never judge a Roosevelt dime only by its appearance. A common circulated dime may be worth little more than face value, while an exceptional certified example with a strong strike and full bands can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars. PCGS auction records, for example, document a $1,265 result for a 1997 P full bands Roosevelt dime, while the regular 1997 P issue is common in circulation. Before spending an old Roosevelt dime, carefully check the date, mint mark, Roosevelt's portrait, lettering, torch, and especially the horizontal bands on the reverse. Look closely for doubled dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck-through errors, and other genuine mint-made characteristics. Remember that full bands is a high-grade designation, so simply seeing some lines on a circulated dime does not automatically make it a full bands coin. Also remember that post-mint damage is not the same as a mint error. Scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, polishing, and environmental damage usually reduce a coin's value rather than increase it. Never clean or polish a potentially valuable Roosevelt dime, because original surfaces are important to collectors. If you believe you have discovered a rare variety, major mint error, or unusually high-grade Roosevelt dime, consider having it professionally authenticated and graded before selling it. Certification can be especially important when a coin appears to have a major variety or exceptional full band strike. If you enjoyed today's video, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future videos about rare coins, valuable pocket change, mint errors, full bands examples, and amazing auction discoveries. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. Until next time, happy coin hunting, and may your next Roosevelt dime be worth far more than just 10 cents. Money back.